So before going into the development, let me just show you what we will be building. So we will be building this beautiful technology news application. As you can see, we have multiple card-like design over here. We can scroll through the screen. As you can see, the card consists of an image component. Here we have the title. This card is having some shadows over here. We'll be doing all of this designing. It mentions some of the information regarding the article, like the publishing date, the author name, and the source. So when user click on this article, we'll be redirected to the source website. Here we can read the entire article. When we press on done or back button, we will back to the our app. You will learn how you can create this custom component on your own and render this design. Here we also have a bottom tab navigation. We can also search for the article. Initially it says zero article found because we haven't inserted any search string. Let's say if I write iPhone and press enter, as you can see it says 28 articles found. So we can scroll through these. We can also click on this article, and here is the source website. So what you will learn from this project, so we will be using React Native Expo, because using managed Expo we can easily get into the development without any hassle. So you can learn how you can create a React Native Expo project. We'll be creating multiple custom components. As you can see here, a card-like design is a custom component. You can create this component on your own. There are multiple hooks in React Native, like use effect, use state. We'll be using all of that. So you will learn about hooks. React Native doesn't come with any built-in navigation system, so we'll be using React Navigation to implement this beautiful bottom tab navigator. And we will not use any static data. Data will be come from APIs, so you can learn about what is API, how you can call the API and get the data in your application. So if you follow along this tutorial and complete this series, at the end you will have your own technology news application that you can also publish on the Play Store or App Store. So before creating a React Native project, there are some prerequisites that you need to install on your machine. So these are some prerequisites. We also have a tutorial video how you can install React Native on your machine. So you need to have Node.js, Android Studio, and if you are using Mac, so you can also download Xcode to preview your app on iOS simulator. And lastly, you need to install Expo React Native. So first of all, you can go to the browser and type Node.js, and here you can download the Node.js for your machine. The second we need is Android Studio. So you just need to go to the Android Studio, and here you can download the Android Studio, and they require SDKs. You need to have this Android Studio installed on your machine to start the Metro server for the Android, and you can preview this app in Android emulator. Third one is Xcode. It is not required for the Windows user because Xcode is not available on Windows. But if you are using Mac, so you can go to the App Store. You just need to search for the Xcode over here. And you can download the Xcode from here. So using Xcode, you can also test your app in iOS simulator. And lastly, Expo React Native. So you need to go to the React Native Expo, click on the first link, click on the docs. Here on the installation, you can copy this command npm install global expo CLI and just copy this command, open your terminal or command prompt, paste this command and run this command. It will install expo CLI globally on your machine. And after that you can start your creating expo manage project. We will see this in the next video. So after completing this prerequisite, you will be able to create a new expo manage react native project. So if you follow along this tutorial, at the end you will have your own tech news application which you can also publish on Play Store or Apple App Store. I have already published this app on the Android Play Store, so you can download it from there. So you can see how this app will look when you created it. The link will be in the description. So today we trying to build this custom component that you see over here. So first of all, we need to create an expo manage project. So open command prompt or terminal if you are using Mac and just type expo init and name of your project. Let me type YouTube Tech News app and press enter. Here we need to select a template. For this particular project, we will select a blank JavaScript project. Okay, so our project is successfully created. Let me just close this, and you need to open this project and any text editor or IDE of your choice. I'm going to use WebStorm, but you can use Visual Studio Code. Let me just open this. Okay, so our project is loaded. As you can see, we have our asset folder, we have our app.js file which will run first when we start our app. So go to the terminal, and first of all we need to start our project so that we can preview our application in an simulator. So you just need to write npm and then start and then press enter. While it's opening, let me just show you the screenshot for the app that we are going to build. So if you see here, we have this custom component. It's your approach should be, you first need to find the custom component that you can build. So if you find any repetition in components, so we can create a custom component out of it and the data will change accordingly. So first of all we need to create this card component. So open your IDE or text editor. Let me just recite it. Okay, so first of all this is our home screen. In this application we have two screens, the home screen and the search screen. So first of all let us create a screen folder. screens. In our screen folder, let us create our home screen. Home screen.js. Okay, so here we are. First of all, we need to import React from React. Then we need to import Vue component from React Native. Then const home screen. Here we will return a Vue component. We also need to create a style sheet. So just import style sheet. Style sheet dot create. Let's say container. Okay, as you can see, our app is running now. Let me just import a text component also. And here provide a text and write home screen. We can also provide style over here. Let me just save this, and we can call this home screen over here. Yeah, instead of this, we can write home screen. Here we need to export it first. Export the full home screen. Let me just save this. We can write it again. Let me save this. As you can see, we have our home screen over here. Remove the styling without need it here. Here our content is going out of our reach, so we can just use safe area view instead of normal view. We need to import this from React Native. Let me just save this, and we are good to go. So first of all, we need to create this custom component. So for that, we will create a new folder called component. Here we will create a new file. Let's say article.js. Let me just copy this, provide it over here. Let me just change this to article. Let me just save this. And under the home screen, we can use that component article. Let me save this. As you can see, we have our article component over here. So let us see what we need here. So first of all, we need a image. So for that we need to import image component from React Native. It will take a source. Here we need to specify the URI. So let me just go to the browser and go to the Unsplash. Here you can search for any image. Let me write tech. Okay, let me grab this one, image address. We can provide it over here. Now if we save this, you don't see any image over here because we haven't provided any styling. So let's say image, height, let's say 200, width is, let's say 100%. Here we need to provide style. Let me say this. As you can see, we have our image over here. If we see our app, we have a margin over here. So for that, let me just provide a width, let's say 90%, and we can write align self to center. Okay, we have our image center over here. We have these round corners if you see, but let us first design these text components. So after this is the image. Now we need to create title. For that we will be using a text component. Title will be, let's say, tech news application using React. Let me just save this. We have our title over here. Let's provide some styling. Styles dot, let's say title. Let's create a title. Let's apply font size of 18. Let's also apply some font weight, 600 maybe. Okay, it looks good. We need to apply some margin on the top. Okay. Okay, we are good for now. Then the description. We have our description over here. Let's say text. Here let's say you are. We are using these hard-coded dummy data as of now because we haven't integrated our API. In the tutorial, program knowledge to channel. Let me just save this. Let me just copy this again. Okay, so here we can provide style, style dot description. Let's copy this. Let's apply font size. Let's say 15. Let's increase it to 16. Let's apply font weight to 400, 500. Okay, 400 is good. Let's also apply some margin on the top, 10. Okay. After that we have this column, and as you can see over here, this row is this two text are in the same line. So for that we need to create a component for that. Okay, let's create a view component first. And for the style we can use author and date. We can simply use the data. Okay, so first of all we have this text. Let's create this text. If you see here, these buy and this digital desk, these two text has different styles. So for that we create a text component inside a text component. You can do that in React Native. So here we can provide style to, let's say, heading. Here we can provide style dot, let's say, value, and let's type my name. Let me just save this. As you can see, we have our text over here. Let's create this text right over here. This is a date. We'll be using a library called moment.js to customize this date over here. But for right now, I just provide a hard-coded value. Let's say August 9, 22. Let me just save this. First of all, let us create all this styling. Data, heading, value, and also here date. Let me just save this. Okay, now let's provide styling. First of all, the data is the whole container. So let's provide flex direction to row. Now as you can see, our two text components are in the same line. Let's provide justify content to space between, so that they can justify themselves at the end of the screen. As you can see. Okay, so now let's provide some margin top. Let's set 10. Now let us also provide the styling for the author. It's this value. Let me change it to actually author. Okay, we just need to provide font weight. Okay, we are good. Let's provide bold also over here. Date. Set font weight to bold. Okay, let me just go to the other website. You can come to this website colors.co and you can find colors from here for your project. Let's select any color. Let's say this one. Let's provide this over here. As you can see, our color is changed. Okay, so let's create a source. Let's say programming knowledge. Here we can provide style. Node source. Let's create this style. First of all, margin top of, let's say 10. Okay, so we have two component over here. Let's wrap it in a view component. Here we can provide the styling. Let's provide inline styling because we only need the margin for this. And here we can provide the color. First of all, let's provide the same color. Let's make it bold. And let's also increase the size. Okay, let's also increase size over here. 15. Let's just copy this. Okay, so now what we have left is we have this rounded corner, and we also can provide some padding around these. Okay, so for that, let me just wrap these into a view component. wrap this entire part right from starting from here and ending here. And we can apply some padding. Set 10. Okay, we are good. Now let's apply border radius. Border top left radius. Let's say 20. Okay, we can increase that value. Let's say 30. Okay, 40 is good. Let's also apply border top right radius. 40. Okay, so it's starting to look something like this. Now we can provide these shadows over here. For that, let's say shadow opacity 0.5, shadow color, let's say black, shadow offset. Here we need to provide the offset for the height, let's say 5, width 5. Let's also apply background color to this component, that will be white. Okay, so we are starting to see these shadows over here. Let me increase the padding. Let's say 20. So if you see this side by side, okay, it's looking good. So now we have completed our first custom component. So now that we have completed our component, you can come to the home.js and let me just show you what you can do with this custom component. You can paste it over here multiple times. If you press this, let me apply some margin to the container. Set 20. Okay, here let me just change this to scroll view. For now we need to import scroll view from React Native. Let me remove this style. Let me save this. As you can see, we are rendering multiple component of that we have just created. I have created this scroll view just to show how it will look, but in our next videos we will use flat list and we will also use dynamic data. So we will render the same component but the data will change. So we have used the article in our home screen, the screen that we have created over here, and I opened this code in WebStorm, but you can use Visual Studio Code if you want. So in this video we will render the actual data that comes from the API. So to call the API, basically we need to install one library. It's called Axios. Okay, so you need to type npm install Axios and it will install the Axios library in your project. You can open the web browser and go to the Axios. Click on get started. example. And here this function you can use to call an API. We will use this function shortly. So before that, the API that we are going to use is the news API. You can go to the newsapi.org. Here you need to create an account. So and you can fill up your name and email address, etc. And after that you get an API key just like this. So this API key you should not reveal this to anyone, so that okay, you can click on the documentation, and here we have all the information regarding this API. We are interested in these endpoints and top headlines. We only want to display the top headlines, so you can click on the top headlines, and here you can use this URL to make the API call. These are the parameters it takes, API key which is required. You can also specify the country, category, sources. You can also specify keywords, page size, page, etc. Okay, so Axios is successfully installed. Now you can go to the Axios and click on and copy this code, and then we can write our function const get news, and you can just paste it. We will create a state. State is basically special JavaScript variables that re-triggers the render process of the app. So whenever a state change, it re-renders the component. So we will create articles, used it by default it will be an empty array. Here you need to import the use state and also the Axios. Okay, now you can go to the API and you can click on the top headlines, and we are interested in this URL. Just copy this and paste it over here. Now we can specify multiple parameters. As you can see, we have specified country, category. So let's specify the category, and we specify the category as the technology. So we get only articles related to the technology. So here you can provide params, category, and you can provide technology. Remove this function, and the response we get, we simply console response dot data. You can go to the local host where your app is running and click on the device that you are on. Now we just need to call this function over here. So for that we will use another hook called use effect. Use effect hooks basically used to perform a specific line of code which depends on the states. So here this is an dependency array. We can provide different states over here. It means that whenever those states change, this function executes again. So right now we only want this function to get executed whenever user first open the app. So we provide an empty dependency array. So let me just save this. And if I go to the localhost, as you can see, we are getting our data successfully. We are getting the author name, content, description. We can get also published date. We get the source, title of the article, the main URL, the image URL, and this all information falls under the articles array. So we can just display the articles over here. Now we need to set these to our articles so that we can use these to render the flat list. Let me just delete this. Okay, so now we need to part this information using props. So click on the components and the article.js. Here write props. First of all, we get the image via URL to image. So first of all, we pass that. Just remove this URL. Props dot URL to image. Now the title. We get the title using title. So we write props dot title. Then the description. Here we get the description over here. Let me just delete this and write prompts not description. Here we need to provide the author. Props dot author, because we get the author over here. Now what else we need? We need the date. So we get it by published date. Published date. And the source. We get the source via the name. Let me just write props dot source name. And let me just save this. Now let's use flat list. You also need to import flat list from React Native. Okay, first of all, we need to provide the data. Which data we need to render? The data we need to render is articles over here. Then the render item. Okay, so we need to refer each object as an item, and for each object we will display article, and it gets the multiple props. Let me just put it another line. Okay, so What does it need? First of all, it needs the URL image. So we pass as item.url image. Each object in this array, each member is considered as one item. Then we need to pass URL image. Then we need to pass the title as item.title. Then we have description, author and publish date. And publish date. We also has a source name. Source name will be item.source.name, because here we have source object and in that source object we have the name. Now the last, we need to provide the key extractor. Every item need to have a unique key so that it can be differentiated from one another. We will provide title as our differentiator. Let me just save this. As you can see, we are successfully getting our data. We have our image over here, we have the title, we have the description, we have the author, we also have the published date, we also have the source. This one looks like this one doesn't have any image, but we are getting our data. Now we can specify some more properties in article.js, like in description we can provide the number of lines. Here we can provide the number of lines as, let's say, 3. Now we only get the 3 lines over here. If you see, if the content is more than 3 lines, then it will get truncated and we get the trailing dots at the end, just like this. Now let me just use the moment library to modify this date over here. So open your terminal, use npm install moment, save. It will install the moment library in your project. You can go to the moment and you can select any of the date format that you like. We will go with this one. Okay, it's successfully installed. Let me just use moment, and here we will use this over here, and you need to import the moment. Let me just save this. As you can see, we are successfully getting our image as the format that we have specified. As you can see, April 6. So basically, this is how you can get the data from an API using Axios, and you can use the flat list to create this beautiful scrollable list. So currently the data are coming from the news API. So in this video, we will create a bottom tab navigator. We have mainly 2 screens in our app. The one is the home screen where we display all the articles, and the second one is the search screen where user can search for a specific topic. So React Native doesn't have any built-in navigation system. So we need to install a library. So open your browser and type React Navigation. Go to React Navigation. Okay. Here in getting started, you need to install the React Native navigation library for it. So far you can use npm or you can use yarn. So I'll be using npm. So you just need to copy the command, open your text editor and open a terminal and just paste the command. It will install React Navigation. Since we are also using Expo managed project, we also need to install the other dependencies. So you just need to copy this, wait for it to install. Okay, it installed successfully. So let me just paste the another command. Okay, since we are using Expo project, so we have installed this Expo directory. Now you need to go to the guides and here you need to go to the tab navigation. Here to use the tab navigation, we also need to install bottom tab. Just copy this. Okay, all the dependencies have successfully installed. Now, if you go to the example over here, here we can see the example that they have created. Here they have our home screen and setting screen. Right now we only have a home screen, so we need to create another screen that we can display in the tab navigation. Just right click on these screens and create a new file. Let's name it search screen. JS. Let's import React. Also import Vue from React Native. Here we will return a Vue component. Let's add a text search screen. Also import the text component. Let's export our component. Export default search screen. Let me just save this. Now go to the highest hierarchy in your app, which is app.js in this case. Here we need to import some elements. We need to import navigation container and create bottom tab navigator. So let me just copy this, paste it over here. Now if we see over here, all the tabs are encapsulated in tab.navigator, which is encapsulated in navigation container. So we need to create a navigation container first. So let me just copy this much and paste it over here. Then we can copy this. So we will not render the home screen directly. Let me just remove this view component. Okay, so the name will be home and the component will be home screen. It means that whenever you need to go to any different screen that is present in the navigator, we can use this name to navigate over there, and the component that we need to render for it is home screen, and the another one will be search, and we need to import this search screen. Okay, let me just save this. Okay, so as you can see, we have successfully implemented our tab navigation. Our scrolling is working fine. Currently we are in home screen, and if we go to the search, here is our search screen. We only have a text component over here, search. So let's just customize this bottom navigation a little bit. If you go to the example, you can customize the appearance. It has multiple options for it. You can go through the all the options in the documentation. So here in navigation container, we have this tab navigator and this tab dot screen. So first of all, we need to apply the styling for the whole navigator. So we use tab dot navigator. And here we can provide the tab bar options. Tab bar active tint color. So let me provide red. If I press, as you can see, whenever a tab bar is active, the color is changed to red. This is how you can provide separate colors. You can also provide inactive tab color, just like over here. Okay, so let me just apply the tab bar icon to individual component. We can also add icons over here. So let's just do that. For that, we need to type the options. Here we can specify the tab bar icon. We can also specify the name. But right now, let's specify tab bar icon. For the icon, we can use the expo vector icons. Just go to the expo vector icons. Search for home. Let me just use this. Copy this. Paste it over here. Now we can use this icon. Now let me just save this. As you can see, we have successfully changed the icon to our home. Let's also provide icon over here. Tab bar icon. Here we can search for, let's say search, we can use this one. Copy this, paste it. Let me actually just copy this much. And copy this icon. Let me paste this over here. Now as you can see, we have our home icon and our search icon. These how you can apply the icons to bottom tab navigation. You can change the styling. You can also disable this text icon. You can go to the documentation and see what other methods you can use to customize this. Hello friends, welcome to Programming Knowledge. My name is Prijayan, and today in this video we will try to complete our search screen. So first of all, we have one component, it's called search bar. It's a custom component, so let's create that. Go to the components, right click and create a new file called searchbar.js. Okay, here we need to import first of all the view, then we import text input from React Native. We also import React from React. We create a functional component. And we return a view. Let's just call it search bar as of now. Also import text. Export default search bar. Now let's create a style. Stylesheet.create container. We need to import style sheet as well. Let me just save this. In search screen, here let's import search bar. Let me just save this. Here we have search bar. Let's create styles. Container. Let's apply flex is 1. Also apply background color white. You also need to import style sheet. Let me just save this. We have our search bar over here, so let's just customize it. First of all, we need to replace this text for the text input. Here we can provide the placeholder. Let's say search. Let's apply style to it. Let's say styles.input. Let's say background color red as of now, just to see. Apply some padding, 10. Let's apply container, margin of 5. Let's increase it to 10. Okay. Let's apply border radius. Let's set 10. Okay. Color will be black. Background color will be white. Let's apply border width. Okay, it looks good. Now go to the search screen. Here we need to create a state so that we can store the search string which is inserted by the user on search text, set search text, use string. By default it will be an empty string. We also need to import the use tag from React. Here we pass text, search text, we also need to pass this setter method. Let me just save this. In search bar we receive this as props. Okay, so first of all the value will be props dot search text, and on change text whatever the text inputted by the user, we simply set it to props dot set search text to text. Let me just save this. Here let's create a text just to check this if it works. So let me just save this, and if I write my name, as you can see it's working perfectly fine. So this is how you can create a search bar as a custom component. We will complete our search screen. So we will create a function So whenever user types something and press enter on the keyboard, we will populate the result with the search string. So let's create a function. Let's say search article. In here, we simply copy the API calling method that we have created. Just paste this over here. Okay, so we have category technology, and we need to provide another parameter called query. This will be our search text. So whenever user enter any search text and press enter, we will call this function, and it will do an API call including these parameters. Category technology and query will be the search text. Let's create another state called articles. By default, it will be an empty array, and we got the result response.data.articles back, so we will store this in our set articles. Let me first of all just save this here instead of text. Let's display all the articles over here. Articles. So we need to display the articles only when user press the enter, and if there is no article, we simply display nothing. So instead we can use a flat list component. We need to import flat list from React Native. Here first of all we need to pass the data. Data will be our articles. Render item. Render item will be just similar as the home screen. Here we have the article. Let me just copy this, paste this over here. Here we also need to provide a key extractor, and key extractor will be our title. So each article will be represent as the item, and we are passing the URL to image, title, description, author, publish date, and source name, just like we did in our home screen. So let me just save this, and here in the search bar we also need to pass the function. Let's say on submit we will pass the search article function. In the search bar, let's call this function on submit editing. We simply call this function props dot on submit. Let me just save this. Let's try if I search for iPhone and press enter. As you can see, it works perfectly fine. We are getting the iPhone results. Let me search Tesla if we have any articles. Okay, we don't have any article for that. Let's search Xbox. As you can see, we have multiple articles on Xbox. Let's search Android. As you can see, we have multiple articles on Android as well. So this is how you can implement a custom search bar and do a search screen using the news API. And in this video, we will complete our news app. Uh, in our last video, we have finished our search screen. So here user can search for any particular topics and they will get the article according to that. So in this video, we will add some final touches, like when user click on any article, they should redirect to the source website. So for that, we need to install one dependency. It's called Expo web browser. You just need to type Expo web browser in your browser and you will get this link Expo. Just copy this, open your terminal, paste this command. It will install the dependency. Okay, so dependency is installed successfully. Just minimize this terminal. Okay, now go back to the documentation. Here we can import this command, paste it in article component, and let's create a new function. Let's go to source. Here we can copy this command, web browser, web browser dot open browser async, and here we can provide the URL that we want to redirect. So if we go to our home screen, here we have also passed the URL, item URL. So here we get it as props.url. Now replace this with pressable. And we need to import this as well. Now here we can assign this function on press event. Go to some. Let me just save this. Let me just reload our application. Okay, as you can see now, if I click on this, we are getting redirect to the source website. Here you can read the entire article. You can click on done and it's closed. So this is how you can allow user to redirect to the source website. So now let's make some changes in our app.json file. So app.json file holds the details regarding our app. So it has our splash image, it has our icon, it has our fav icon. The most important thing is the name. So when you upload this app on the Play Store or App Store, what name you want to give it to the app. By default it is the project name, but we can change that. If you want to name it as simply news, then you can do that also. Just replace it with news. You can provide the orientation. The version is most important. So by default it is 1.0.1, 1.0.0, sorry. And when you upload this on any of the Play Store or App Store, and the second time you want to upload this, you have to increase this number, otherwise they won't let you upload the same version again and again. So in the assets, here are all the images, fav icon, icon and splash. This splash image is the starting image when our app reloads for the first time. So if you want to change it, I have created the three images. You can create them using Photoshop or Canva or any of those software. Just paste this over here. Okay, so I have changed the image, as you can see. So if I reload the app, you will see this image. Let me just reload, as you can see. And when you upload this app on the App Store or Play Store, you will see this image and this fav icon image also. So make sure to make changes accordingly in the app.json file before uploading it to the Play Store or App Store. So this is how you can create a simple Techniques application. You can add much more designing into it. You can change the colors, you can change the entire look of it. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching it.